Tanya of the day. Good morning, Chavre. Good morning, everyone. Today is the 15th day of the month of Elul. Welcome to my brother-in-law, Yehoshua Usher Green, who's here for a chasana tonight of our niece. Okay, thank you. Today we're going to talk about Israel. Can there be a better topic? The Holy Land of Israel is positioned to receive the divine, godly energy from Hashem. This flow is renewed more generally every Rosh Hashanah. We're coming up on Rosh Hashanah, in 2 weeks? And particularly each day, it receives blessing and it becomes more intense. The blessings become manifest through our actions, through our tshuva. So don't think that, what's the big deal if I just do this and this and that? Hashem blesses Eretz Yisrael based on our tshuva. This letter is written to arouse the old and fondness for the land, old love and fondness. We're on page 69 or on your app in the Chayenu. The letter is written to arouse the love and fondness of the Holy Land, so that it burns like a fiery flame from the inwardness and from the depths of a person's heart. We should feel that love as if this very day Hashem has set a spirit upon us, a spirit of generosity. This nadev the mallois Adam LaHashem biyod melea or so that people volunteer to consecrate themselves to Hashem with a full and generous hand. And they should increase every single year. We should always continue to excel and to grow in spirituality and Yiddishkeit, taking on more and learning more, davening more, kmidas, kodesh elyon, in keeping with the measure of the level of holiness called kodesh elyon, the supreme holiness, another name for the attribute of chachma. So when we add and measure, we bring that light which radiates to the Holy Land and is constantly renewed qualitatively and increased qualitatively. The famous pasuk says, "Tamid einay Hashem elekecha ba, ereishis hashana vad achri shana." Forever are the eyes of Hashem upon the land of Israel, from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. Alter Rebbe will soon say that the term eyes alludes to the divine attribute of Chachma or Kodesh Elyon, which irradiates the land of Israel constantly from the beginning of the year to the end, constantly bringing the flow of energy and blessing to Eretz Yisrael. So in order to explain how we derive this verse, that the level of Chachma that radiates into the Holy Land is constantly renewed and increased, the Alter Rebbe first raises the following question. What? Radiates? Yeah. The hive ad achris kulu einay muvan l'chayra. So the phrase "to the end" appears to be problematic. What do you mean to the end? If Hashem's eyes are constantly on the Eretz Yisrael, what do you mean to the end? At the end of the year begins another year. So there's really no end time. Just seamlessly goes from one into the other. It should have said forever. This matter can be understood by the pasuk that says Hashem by Chachma established the earth. She saw the Eretz Elyona, he bechinas memale kolam, in the foundation of Eretz Elyona, the higher earth or the higher land, meaning the heavenly terrestrial holy land, the counterpart, which is the mode of the creative divine influence, is called memale kolam, and filling all the worlds. This refers to the spirit of Malchus of the world of Atzilus called land. By the way, we talked about this in other areas of Atzilus, that everything down here is a mirror from above. So there's always the counterpart. And why we have this is because of that. There's always a mirror effect. So that world in Atzilus called land is the last and, so to speak, lowest of the supernal spheres, and has vested itself in created worlds and beings so as to vitalize them, giving them the energy to exist. And likewise, the foundation of the land, which is the land of Eretz Yisrael, known as Eretz Chayfetz, the land of God's desire, which truly corresponds to its heavenly counterpart. These are Eretz Elyona. So we're talking about like that mirror effect is the Eretz HaKodesh, the land of Israel. And al Shema Eretz HaChaim, which is also called by its name, the land of life. The foundation then of the higher and lower lands issues from the downflow and radiation from the supernal Chachma, this high, beautiful level, which is the source of supernal life. The pasuk says, Chachma animates those who possess it. So Hashem, by Chachma, establishes thus means, what does it mean? That the spirit of Chachma diffuses its creative light upon Eretz Elyon, the higher land. And once it's given to the higher land, it then rests upon its counterpart, the land of Israel. This radiation, an efflux, this energy, the blessings that come from efflux, from Supreme Chachma that irradiates the land at both these levels is renewed annually by a truly new light. So if it's something new, this is part of the answer. For Hashem and His Chachma are one in absolute unity. Which is called Oid Ein Soif, the eternal light of Hashem. Ein Soif, there's no end to it. Vein Kates, and there's no limit. There's no end to the quality and greatness of the light and vitality that issues from Hashem and from His Chachma. Whether it's from elevation upon elevation to no end or limit, from the highest levels to the lowest levels, there's no limit. That's why it's called Ein Sof. It's eternal light. It just spreads forever. Since the life-giving light that issues from the Chachma, the Supreme Chachma, is infinite, it follows that whatever the intensity of the light drawn down in previous year, it is still possible that a greater degree of light be drawn down in the new year from that old light because it's eternal. So how could how does it end? We still have the question. Every year there descends and radiates a new and renewed light, which has never yet shone from the Supreme Chachma of Eretz Elyon, and that light reaches down to this level, described as new and renewed. For in the first instance, the light radiates into Chachma from the Ein Sof, that transcends it. Then a new light issues from Chachma and irradiates the Eretz Elyon. So there must be a little window, there must be a moment when the light withdraws to its source in the essence of Ein Sof on the eve of Erev Rosh Hashanah every year. When the moon is covered. So Rosh Hashanah is known as the holiday when the moon is covered and is not seen. Beginning of the month. Usually we have many of all the Yom Tovim, there's certainly the Shalosh Regalim, right? Pesach, Shavuos, Sukkot, and Yom Kippur also is more to the middle of the month when the moon is seen. The beginning of the month, the moon is not seen, and that's why we wait until the second week into the month to say Kiddush Levana. But on Rosh Chodesh we don't see the moon. So Rosh Hashanah is known as the holiday when the moon is covered and it's not seen. In a spiritual context, this means that the spirit of Malchus presented in the Kabbalah by the moon, the light that animates the world and created beings, is concealed and withdrawn to its source. That's when it gets a recharge. Okay? And after that, afterwards, by means of the sounding of the shofar and by means of our davening, a new and superior light is elicited. This is important. A superior light. A light of yet higher rank in the sphere of supreme Chachma. To radiate to Eretz Elyon. Remember, the higher Eretz of Eretz Yisrael, and those who dwell upon it. Meaning to all the higher worlds and the lower worlds that receive vitality from it, because as we said before, from the Eretz Elyon it comes down to the Eretz down here in this world. Now, from the infinite light of Hashem from God's Chachma, which is invested in it, the higher lands. The pasuk says, "For with you is the source of life from Hashem, and your light, Hashem, shall we see." The Hainu, this refers to the light that radiates from the supreme Chachma, the source of life. As is known, guys, you know this stuff because you're all Kabbalists here. Ooh, where does this word come from? Nisira is what we were talking about the last week in the last chapter. What do? We cut off the Nefesh HaBahamis and we take that and we reuse it for something positive. So here we're taking the old light, we're removing it, and it's being renewed in a more powerful way. Beautiful. Now we understand because we learned this whole Indian already. So we have the Nesira. We already know what that means. And the spirit of Malchus receives new, more sublime Moichin, and so on. So this is a Kabbalistic theme regarding the rebuilding of the spirit of Malchus that takes place out of Rosh Hashanah. The paradigm of this sequence is the slumber that Hashem brought upon Adam on the day of creation, on Adam's first day of creation, which took place on Erev Rosh Hashanah, and the subsequent excision, the Nesira of the rib from which Chava was then formed. In very specific ways, this takes place every single day. How? The more sublime moichin are elicited by every morning during prayer, which are not the original moichin, that withdrew after the davening of the previous day, but more sublime ones. So basically, let's round this up. In general terms, with respect to the world as a whole, and not only with regard to the daily elicitation of the new moichin during davening as experienced by an individual man, during the 6,000 years of the world existence, this occurs every Rosh Hashanah, where a little bit of the light goes back and it gets renewed, and then a new one comes in, and it brings tremendous blessing. Let's go back to what we said in the beginning, not just to us, not just to our families and to our communities. It really first starts in the Eretz Elyon, comes down into Eretz Yisrael. Every single day, there's a new divine energy that didn't exist in our world the previous day, and today, we make it even better than yesterday. And how's this done? Well, we're blowing the shofar. That's during the month of Elul, but mainly because during the year we don't blow the shofar every day. It's done through our prayer, through our tefillah. All right, so go daven extra hard today. Bring down those blessings to the entire world.